Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Marijuana Times Show. I'm your host, Joe Klare. It's February 27th, 2018. I find myself, many other great writers, great articles over at marijuanatimes.org. You can also find all of the Marijuana Times Show episodes, marijuanatimes.org. You can also search YouTube and Facebook for the Marijuana Times to find the videos, or search the Marijuana Times on Apple Podcasts to get the podcast on the go. Apple Podcasts, search the Marijuana Times Show for the audio-only version of the show. Today we're talking about the federal lawsuit we mentioned a couple weeks ago, against the Department of Justice and Jeff Sessions, challenging the constitutionality of the Schedule I classification under the Controlled Substances Act of cannabis. Tell you what's going on there. Also, more bad news in Ohio for medical marijuana. Things are not going well, to say the least. And also, a group of senators have gotten together, and they're calling on big tech companies like Google and Yahoo to stop illegal drug trading, the illegal drug trade, illegal drug selling, all of that. We'll talk about coming up. But first, of course, Marijuana Times Show is brought to you by naturesidecannabis.com. Check out their organic, all-natural pesticides. Also, check out their expertise as far as passing regulations in your state. If you're in a state where cannabis cultivation is legal, there's usually pesticide regulations and approved pesticides that you have to use. For instance, Naturecide is approved in Colorado, Oregon, and Washington for use by regulators on cannabis cultivations. So check them out. Also, you don't want to use harmful chemicals on your grow. You don't want people ingesting that. You don't want that to be your reputation. You don't want people to get sick. You want organic, all-natural pesticides. Well, who better than a proud sponsor of the show we all love, the Marijuana Times Show? Naturesidecannabis.com. The site is spelled CIDE. Go and check them out. This first story is from marijuanatimes.org. From Julia Granowitz, judge dismisses court case against Sessions, the DEA, and the DOJ. You may remember a couple weeks ago, I played a clip of a press conference where an attorney that was representing the plaintiffs in this case had just come out of a hearing in which the Judge Alan Hellerstein in New York City, had not dismissed the case outright. He didn't dismiss the case that day. That's what the federal government wanted him to do. They seemed very receptive to the idea that the plaintiffs were bringing to bear. And it turns out that he was very receptive to that idea. But instead, or rather, he dismissed the case anyway for a different reason. Unfortunately, this is what Julia wrote over at marijuanatimes.org. This week, Judge Alan Hellerstein provided a 20-page opinion when deciding to dismiss the case for now. In that opinion, the judge said that his decision did not address the plaintiff's main argument, which is that marijuana clearly has medicinal benefits and therefore does not meet qualifications for a Schedule I drug under the definition of the Controlled Substances Act. Even mentioning once again that it has helped one of the minor plaintiffs, Alexis Bortel, to be seizure-free for nearly 3 years. Instead, he pointed out that the plaintiffs are required to exhaust all options. They have to petition the Drug Enforcement Administration to declassify marijuana as a Schedule I drug. This has been done before. DEA has rejected petitions to reschedule cannabis in 2011 and most recently in 2016. And the plaintiffs in this case did not take that route because it had proven ineffective in the past. Resigning the plaintiffs to petitioning an administrative process is tantamount to a death sentence for those patients who need cannabis to live, said Michael Hiller, an attorney for the plaintiffs. And as Julia points out, this has been done before the DEA. People have gone the DEA route before, and sometimes it takes several years for the DEA to turn down a petition. But because these plaintiffs didn't get through that specific process, this judge decided that no, we're going to dismiss this case against the federal government because they have not exhausted all of these options, which could take several years more. Of course, the attorneys are planning an appeal, and we'll see how that goes. But it's just, it doesn't seem likely that this is going to get done through the judicial system. This has to be done through the legislative system. Congress, at some point, is going to have to remove, whoops, wrong one there, user error. Congress is going to have to remove marijuana from Schedule I. That's what's going to have to happen. It's going to have to be descheduled. Marijuana prohibition on a federal level is going to have to be repealed, and it's going to have to be done by Congress and signed by the president. There's no other way that it seems to me that this is going to get done. If you're going to petition the executive branch, well, good luck. It hasn't worked in the past. And they're the last people that would want to legalize marijuana, especially under this administration, and especially under this attorney general. It is not going to happen. But Congress is getting momentum in Congress. That momentum needs to continue because that's where this is going to have to be. Now, I'll bring up this story from Cleveland.com. The Ohio auditor says it's too late to pause medical marijuana program rollout. Talked about this last week. Still problems in Ohio, continuing problems in Ohio when it comes to medical marijuana and implementing the legislature passed medical marijuana bill. Ohio Auditor Dave Yost says it's too late to hit the pause button on Ohio's medical marijuana program, despite mounting concerns about how state regulators graded cultivator license applications. The Department of Commerce issued provisional cultivator licenses to 24 companies in November of 2017. Yost's office began examining the department's scoring process following reports that the agency had hired a felon and consultants who had a possible conflict of interest with applicants to help score applications. The department offered last week to pause any portion of the program that Yost deemed necessary. Director Jacqueline Williams wrote in a letter to Yost. Yost replied Wednesday, quote, "Unfortunately, the window to pause is probably closed." He wrote in a letter to Williams that the provisional licensees have made substantial investments to build grow facilities and meet the obligations of the license. Yost also noted the department had 2 fewer months now than in November to meet the law's September 8th deadline for the program to be operational, and patients have already been waiting almost 2 years for the start date. Weighing the multiple process flaws against the harms caused by pausing the program at this late date seems to me to favor allowing the program to move forward and allowing the program flaws to be addressed through the administrative appeals process or other litigation, Yost wrote. In other words, it may have been possible a couple months ago when these problems came to light, but it's not going to happen now, which means they're going to go ahead, which means not only are there going to be operational problems with the Ohio medical marijuana law, there's going to be implementation problems, there's going to be lackluster servicing of patients in Ohio, but it's also going to be plagued by litigation, probably for years to come, as those who didn't get picked sue the state, which they already are. 2 lawsuits have already been filed, and 69 applicants have requested administrative hearings to appeal their scores. 69 applicants want hearings to appeal their scores. So this is going to be bogged down in bureaucracy and administrative problems for years to come, and it's a shame. You know, the people of Ohio had a chance. They did not take that chance. And now they have what is going to be mediocre at best medical marijuana program, which is better than nothing, obviously. Don't get me wrong. But it is going to be mediocre in any case. This last story is from Senator Chuck Grassley's Senate page, grassley.senate.gov. Grassley, Feinstein, and colleagues urge tech companies to clamp down on illegal online drug sales and advertising. Now, these would be Senators Chuck Grassley, Republican from Iowa, Dianne Feinstein, a Democrat from California, the chair and the co-chair of the Senate Caucus on International Narcotics Control, alongside Senators Amy Klobuchar, I guess that's who Grassley and Feinstein are the chair and the co-chair, Amy Klobuchar. Well, I'm out of touch when it comes to who our senators are. I don't know these people. If they don't talk about cannabis on a regular basis, I'm really unaware of their existence in the United States Senate. And there's only 100 of them. It's not that many to keep track of. And John Kennedy, a Republican from Louisiana, and Sheldon Whitehouse, a Democrat from Rhode Island, recently wrote to 4 tech companies urging action to reduce illegal online drug sales and advertising. The group senators wrote to Google, Microsoft, Yahoo, and Pinterest, expressing concerns about the role that the internet plays in facilitating the deadly drug trade. People are selling drugs on Pinterest? Is that a thing? Now, don't get me wrong. And by the way, Facebook's not in this. I've had dozens of people try to sell me marijuana on Facebook. Obviously, I don't go for that. You're not going to buy marijuana on Facebook. But I've had many people try. They send me messages all the time. Hey, man, I got the dope chronic. Hit me up or whatever. But they're not in this list, so I don't know. But apparently things are going on at Pinterest that I had no idea about. I don't know about senators. I don't know about Pinterest. It's been a humbling episode so far. Each platform has policies and restrictions against illegitimate online pharmacies and online advertisements for the sale of illegal controlled substances, including fentanyl, among the chief drugs contributing to the lethality of America's opioid crisis. Grassley said, quote, despite their efforts to forbid it, some of the most popular websites are being used for the illicit sale of narcotics. It's imperative that we all work collaboratively to combat the opioid epidemic. One of the ways to do this is to limit online access to illicit narcotics like fentanyl. These online companies can help limit sales by preventing users from creating online black markets to peddle their poison. Here's where the problem lies. Obviously, prohibition does not work. Now, for things like fentanyl, fentanyl is not something that someone can grow in their house or make in their garage. This is coming from the companies themselves that make fentanyl and make these painkillers. Writing a letter to Google and Microsoft and Yahoo and Pinterest is going to do nothing about that. It's not going to stop the pharmaceutical companies from making these pills. And the more you try to prohibit them and clamp down on them and reduce the supply on them, that's going to raise the price, which is why, prohibition doesn't work, not because you can't legislate people's morality and their choices, which you can't, and that's true, but that's not why it doesn't work. The reason prohibition doesn't work is an economic one. If it's something you can grow at home, or something you can make, or something you can buy from someone else, or something you can make in your garage, prohibition lowers supply, makes it riskier, makes the price go up, makes the profits go up, which draw in other investors and other people to grow or to buy or to make or to whatever. Obviously, the harder it is to make, like fentanyl, it's a little easier to do that. Something you can grow in your house, like marijuana, it's nearly impossible. Or something you can make in your garage, or it's something that there's so much of that you can buy it at the inflated prices. There's always going to be someone willing to sell. There's not much you can do about that. And these companies keep making fentanyl and these dangerous painkillers. They're always going to be on the black market. You're not going to stop that. Because the more you try to stop it, the more you raise the price, and the more people you bring into the market to get the inflated profits. And it's a constant cycle. It's supply and demand. It's what I've talked about before. That's why prohibition doesn't work. It's simple economics. That's why people during the alcohol prohibition were making gin in their bathtub, because it was worth a lot of money, and they wanted to drink gin. So voila, you got people making stuff. And that's what happens when you try to prohibit a product that can be made or grown at home, or is in sufficient abundance that you can just buy it from someone, because you're just offering them more money because you can make more money. So they're going to try this, and makes it look like they're doing something, and rah, good for them. But they're not doing much. It's not to say that people trying to sell me weed on Facebook are not annoying. They are. And I wish they would go away, because that's idiotic. But the Senate writing a letter to Google, Microsoft, Yahoo, and Pinterest, I don't think it's going to do the trick. But we'll see. I may be wrong. Thanks everybody for checking us out today. The Marijuana Times show for February 27th, 2018. Thank you to NatureSideCannabis.com, our proud sponsor. Check out their organic, all natural pesticides and become regulatory compliant on your cannabis cultivation with NatureSideCannabis.com. Keep liking and sharing all the videos. You're helping us spread the truth about cannabis, and we thank you for that. Of course, for all the latest news and opinion on the cannabis community and industry, MarijuanaTimes.org. Thanks everybody for listening. We'll see you next time on the Marijuana Times Show.